yes, if you guys want to watch this video, the link to it is in the description. Vic is the one that put it all together in 4K, barely managed to render it with a huge resolution of images and everything. So you can watch the whole thing with the original music. Boy, this is epic. I only just recently noticed on Discord that you guys were doing this. It was like, I don't know, 85% finished at that point, so I thought I'd just let you do your thing. I wasn't like looking too much into it. But yeah, this is insane. This is what the guys did on Discord. There's a special room for that. Is the community artwork something. And yeah, apparently it was low-key going on for a while. Oh my god, there's the death from the very first video on this channel, I think. Okay, I want to go through it and just see what exactly is going on in here. Like, many of the stuff I totally recognize right away, but some of it is like, I don't know. So let's just go from the top left corner. Is this the one with the left hand challenge? Okay, real quick. So mouse challenge, lefty challenge right away. And I think it may be from here. Like, this is the first thing I thought of. Oh no, it wasn't the floating island. So it was something else then. Where did I have the floating islands? I mean, I did have them, but not as Boro. I had a painting as Dante before the channel started. And wow, that's a big file. A good indicator of like the artist's ego. If you're saving in something more intense than just a PNG, you're probably thinking too much of yourself or of your artwork. This is like a TIFF file. It may be even like a 16-bit one or something. So yeah, these are the islands, but I really doubt that you guys meant this. Especially with the fact that there's the stargazing device. But yeah, like, it's like some kind of scene, some kind of story, and I don't think I can remember it. Maybe something from Overpaint though, right? A lot of stuff maybe from Overpaint, because I went through so many of your guys' stories in Overpaint that I can easily forget about something, especially if I just did it in one episode or in like a portion of one episode. Yeah, I'm gonna have to skip in it for now. A lot of people probably know what this is about, especially if you were following on Discord, because I don't know, maybe it's like nothing, so I should just a decor thing, I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna skip it because it's gonna take forever. I think I can't solve it. So this little guy right here, I remember for sure, and I like that he has specifically his own damn brush, because that's literally from the video about making your own damn brushes. Yep, there it is. That's the guy. I think there's some kind of hint on a weapon in here, and I like that you guys replaced that with a brush. Okay, this is what I was talking about. This is the death riding its little car to work. Let's go to the oldest videos, literally #1 video. That's not the #1 video of like this channel as the project of Boro Dante or whatever. The first video was this actually, and before that this was like 12 years ago and everything. The channel started like 5, I think almost 6 years ago now. But yeah, this was just like my channel that I uploaded some art videos to before without any, you know, consideration for anything. Yeah, the name is in Russian, it means fingers. So yeah, I was making this animation in TV Paint, I think the app was called. It still exists, that's for sure. So yeah, I really got interested in it for like a couple of months. I liked it because it was the raster animation program, contrary to then popular Flash animations. This was actually something where you can like legit paint stuff any way you want, like if you're doing it in Photoshop or something, and that's the actual animation. Really cool, I had a lot of fun with that, but of course I had a pretty strong taste on how time-consuming this thing was. I think my grades were just plummeting at that point when I was just dedicating most of my time animating this stuff and developing other characters and everything. There was supposed to be like 5 characters, like 5 fingers, and it never got anything out of it after this little animation here. But yes, it's really funny to see it here. Okay, this guy, I don't know why he's saying bye. Oh, it's me saying bye. I got it. I just got it. So weird. But aside from that, I wonder if this is just me saying it? Because I really felt like the character was... Yeah, from this story, like, I thought it was the hacker character. So that's when I got a little commission to create a concept art for a game, and actually the developer of the game recently contacted me that they actually, even though they go really slowly with that, they actually got something out of it in some direction. It's not like a final game or anything, but they're like still working on it, which is pretty fun that it's still going on. But yeah, I was thinking this was kind of like this guy, and it probably is, but there's a lot of freedom in the design, obviously. Okay, Moment of Supremacy, that was a huge project back then, with a lot of episodes and really like a huge attention to detail back then. As usual, as it goes in any of my, like, the earlier artwork you get, the more effort I put into it, but the more fundamental mistakes you can see in them that make the whole picture look like, oh no, you wasted so much time, but overall the picture is just meh. which just makes it, like, painful to look at. Like, don't get me wrong, this is one of the almost okay cases, but couple of elements like this cloak right here looking really weird, the guys in the back are super weird, the overall gamut is being like really, really blue, it's kind of weird. A very strange design that was just by accident, you just paint and like, it's convenient to add this or that. That's pretty much how the whole design happened. Like, what the hell is he wearing on top of that shirt? It's so weird. You know, a lot of things are like unconscious completely. This dude feels like just some kind of sausage that has a person drawn on top of it. Really weird shape. But again, overall, it's kind of good. Okay, this little spider right here, I have no clue. It's like an apple, I think, because there's the leaf on the little branch that's connected to it, so it probably means it's an apple. But it's a spider apple. Yeah, I really have no idea what's going on there. Alright, next we have right here the Lefty Challenge where I drew Tom Cruise. SCP-3000, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that's definitely SCP-3000. That looks like lipstick. That's really weird. It's actually a really funny thing about the community artwork about SCPs in general. I noticed this is a thing, especially, I wonder if anyone did the reptile giant super dangerous SCP with a lot of hands and everything. Yeah, I don't think that one is in here, but in there was an interesting thing. Yeah, 682. So the original article has this... Ooh, I think they changed it, or maybe it's later. Yeah, they probably changed it, maybe because it was a copyright or whatever. There are some issues with that kind of stuff sometimes. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, I think this picture was in the article originally. I don't know, maybe there was a problem with it or whatever, but the thing is, I think it's like the decomposed corpse of a whale or something. So it's just like a skull semi-exposed from a bunch of remains. And the description of this picture in the article was that it's the picture of this SCP after it was attacked with a lot of heavy ammunition, like with explosives and everything, to get it calm. And that was like one brief moment where you could take a picture and not die. That's why it's in such a ruined state. That you're like seeing the skull and everything. But the community didn't pay attention to it, and this exposed skull became like the way this SCP is supposed to look like. Even though it says it's a reptile, it has this kind of like fur all over it, which makes no sense for a reptile, but it's just because it looks just like this picture, it became its face. And it's kind of like, it gave me the same hint in here, like this little thing. It definitely resembles what I painted. So yeah, the reptile SCP is right here. This is the way I showed it. That's when I was painting on iPad. Looks very fluffy. And SCP-3000 is like this. I don't think it looks like a lipstick here, like, but you can see how it's just making it smaller, more saturated, and like less of indented or whatever, and it turns into like a different thing completely. And that's really funny to see it, how certain features of SCPs turn into this iconic look, even though it was kind of unintentional. Like, I'm not criticizing it, it's totally a thing. Is just kind of funny how it turned into something much closer to a lipstick. And yeah, right next to it is this SCP. I actually had a hard time figuring out who the hell is that, like some kind of angel with chains? When did I paint an angel, you know? And that's probably because generally the character looks a bit more open and like casual, like a sad, quiet angel. And it took me a moment to realize that this is this SCP-70. So yeah, that was a picture, a very different, you know, character kind of in terms of the way it's presented, I guess. Yeah, this was a really cool picture, by the way. What's interesting, right now I talk a lot about like shape design and all of that. This picture had it quite a lot. And that's one of the things why I really like this picture. Like, obviously the brushwork is kind of cool, but also kind of like fast, I guess, but usually whenever I go any further I only ruin things, so it's a good thing that I stopped here. But yeah, the shape design, the composition, and many things about this picture are actually really cool. But it was kind of unconscious, I think. And that's the problem. Many things that I talk about right now that I'm like super excited about, the shape design or something else, that's something I used to be doing before, but it was like mostly the inspiration based. Like, I hope I will be really inspired to get all these things that I don't really think about, that I'll get them right. But right now, since I approach them consciously, I know that I need to think about shape design. I can be completely not inspired, tired, or it's like completely not my project that I shouldn't like dedicate myself so much, like, oh, this is so cool, you know. This state, you can't, you know, work in it all the time. That's why you need your brains and figuring out certain techniques and elements that are really important to pay attention to. And yeah, shape design is one of that stuff that only happened in my artwork when I was just really inspired or just lucky, I don't know, you know, in the right state of mind to pay attention to that specific part of the technique. And yeah, I hoped like from this point to go with much more of a like intentional elements that would actually make things happen consistently. Wow, this picture is so sharp and detailed, even though I feel like I worked on it less than I did on that SCP-070. Like, the amount of precision and detail is so high. Interesting how sharp and clear the image is. Like, really polished and, you know, well, not everything, like some stuff is like quick and left pretty expressive, but overall things are really clean. And it wasn't a lot of effort. I think that's because of the whole utilization of layers and masking. The crows. The crows. One thing I can remember with the crows would be the cover for a story by Kevin Folk I did right here with a wedding dress. I think it was actually like my idea to begin with, to paint a wedding dress being torn apart by crows. Yeah, funny one. There's actually a lot of the times I like forget about like that this is like a part of my gallery, like my artwork, but there's a lot of cool stuff in the artwork we did with Kevin. Like this is legit things that even though they're not like my own, but for something else, there's a lot of really inspired and cool things going on in here. Like this piece, it's so cool. Like, holy crap. I remember I saw it recently, like, whoa, that was just a quick project that happened and it's so awesome. Okay, this is my portrait, obviously using a photo of an egg as a base. Like, this is literally a photo of an egg. You think you're so smart, aren't you? And this is probably another one of just like my portrait, I think. Sunset in Paradise, I have that hoodie. Yeah, that's just me at work. It looks like it. And I like that the cap has a lot of teeth because that's usually the way I feel about my caps. You guys probably don't think about it too much if you have normal heads, but all caps in the world are almost of the same size. there are no sizes for the cap. Like never ever, you can't find like a specialized store that would be making bigger caps or hats. They're all one size always, and that means none of them are for me. Okay, a really cool picture of the Black Widow. What I love about it is that exactly it's fixing one problem that I had, like one fundamental problem that pretty much ruined the picture. That's actually why I never even posted Black Widow on Instagram or anywhere, even though we kind of finished this piece on the channel. The problem with the piece is that I couldn't just choose the direction for it. And it really feels like it's trying to be everything with the composition, with the lighting, with so many focal points, and just the fact that the character is not presented in any direction. It feels like you're seeing so much detail, you can't tell for certain what anyone is really about. There's no real mood. That's a problem when you take your piece too seriously, like you love it too much. And you can't choose the direction. In here, there's an obvious direction. She's strong, she's kind of angry, and whatever. You can see that this is the character of a certain, nature. So there was a choice taken. This fan art is way better than my artwork. And here we have one of the pumpkins from the annual Halloween artwork that I used to be doing. I think just 2 years in a row it happened. So yeah, it's probably from this one. Why isn't it such small resolution, I wonder? Oh no, this one is probably from the first one, where it was just one spider. Yeah, this one. This looks a lot more like this guy right here. What is that? That's just me again, I guess. So this is like a bowl where the Black Widow is taking the meat out of, I guess. That's probably just me, I think. Me again, very existential, I guess. The SCP that you can talk about or realistically visualize. I actually think I never published it as well, which is funny. I kind of like this one, it was kind of fun. I wonder what's up with this eye. I think I've seen it before. Maybe it's again one of those situations where a certain feature is just taken. Yeah, this one. So you literally can't verbally describe it or contain it. So if you just talk about it in any specific way, it comes over and it's shown that it's like showing a huge affection towards you, or if you write something, they will take the paper, but if you say it out loud yourself, they will take you. And yeah, another example, you see the heart is drawn on the face, trying to show that they have this affection. But there is on the internet, SCP-2521, if we look it up, a lot of the artwork will be with this red little glow, or literally a heart right on the face, which wasn't the point, I'm pretty sure. But it's really funny, like it makes the look a lot more unique and recognizable than just a bunch of black strips of some sort, I think this is what the author of the article meant, I think. But who am I? Oh, there you go. That's actually from one of the projects I did with Kevin Folk, right? It's probably these horses. That's like the first thing I thought of. I don't remember a lot of other horses going on. An alien guard from the How to Paint Like a God original video. Still hating that hat, as I did back then. The second, the big artwork I did a paint over of. I should do more paint overs of my own artwork. That's kind of fun, at least to me, to do. I don't know. Like this one right here. Actually, I think I did a little bit of a fix on lighting sometime later. And yeah, the original idea goes way back many years ago, and it used to look like this. The original idea that was stolen by Netflix to use in Stranger Things. No matter how much time passes, it's still truth, and we all know it. And yeah, also, apparently he is drawing. And this guy, I don't know who that is, maybe just whoever, kinda looks like a penis, I'm not sure. Now, this one right here, it was kinda weird. I'm really confused. I think it's the same dude as this one, only in here the wings were like miniaturized. And in here, they're closer to what they were in the artwork. So I think that's the same thing. Also, the gate, yeah, it's most likely that. Although, I don't think he was bald. So maybe again, it's like me in the image of that SCP. Okay, this is... this is almost just a child of the Discord community, kinda. There was a lot of evolutions of custom emojis that you can build my head out of a whole bunch of pieces. Infinite head. And yeah, there's a nail at the end in one of the versions. But the body is actually the centipede, which I added as one of the emojis originally. But of course that centipede I was using a lot in the beginning of each video when I was painting this guy, the centipede. A really cool concept. It has a lot of things done right. The only thing I don't like is just the detailing and texturing of the skin. And some values work. Like these textures put on top, they're really flattening. Something that I hope I addressed better in the latest SCP The Infinite IKEA, where I was adding strips in a separate layer, kind of like here. But you make sure you really make the distortions correctly so the textures would follow the shape of what surface they're on. And in here, like some details really feel like they're just smeared in front of the body. Don't really feel like they're on the surface, really. So that's like one of the flattening issues going on in here that makes it look like there were certain details in the anatomy, but then they're all like just covered with this uniform texture that makes everything look not as good. And yeah, generally some questionable geometry anatomy going on in some areas. Okay, the potato, that's a very iconic design that just happened in one episode. I don't even know what to say about it except for it would be kind of interesting to see this character involved in some kind of a bigger world, you know? Seeing some kind of story about it, seeing it painted again at different angles or situations, like what is going on with it? A little bit, like just because of the unique and kind of a strong design of it, you know, it's kind of fun. It attracts attention. The overpaint pill, of course. Okay, this guy, this was one thing that when I was watching the video of the process in the beginning, I just, what is this? It's like a lantern, right? I think it's like a lantern, but where is it coming from? Like no clue at all. I've been looking at it for a while. I'm not recognizing it at all. Like even if like most of it is some kind of different adaptation and only like one element of it, maybe the glowing thing in the middle or something, but I can't think of anything at all. Okay, this ball right here, like some kind of a possessed ball, maybe like a spin-off of my possessed basketball, but only this is a golf ball. It is giving me the hint of, first of all, it's obviously possessed. Secondly, it's a spherical shape, and thirdly, there's the lighting sandwich going on, which is something I was talking a lot about in the possessed basketball. So I think it's a reference to that. Okay, moving on. So the big hole is literally the nest where the kids of Black Widow live, and they're hanging around in like spider web, or is it even like some kind of umbilical cord things? That would be kind of cool when they're like really little kids, just born. The Black Widow doesn't carry them around all the time. She has a lot of work to do. So maybe they're actually like incubated inside of these nests with a special umbilical cord. That would be an interesting expansion to the whole concept. More Black Widow kids fighting over a piece of meat. Really cool looking, like something repeating the gamut and everything, like the contrast that like immediately you see it's that. Some artwork like this Black Widow, for instance, it's like painted with different tools and like your own choices, but this piece or this guy that like really the same colors and even like closer to the same type of brush in certain elements that you're like, oh, it's like literally more of the same from my canvas. It's really fun to see this kind of pieces in here. This guy as well, like this brushwork is so close to that messy bristly brush that I used in that piece This guy is just so looking like the original that it's also having that, although the brushwork I think is different. But yeah, some elements are just so immediately you're looking like, oh wow, it's so weird, like I'm seeing my own artwork but like at a different angle or different something. A really interesting effect when it's like represented the same way, kind of trippy a little bit. Also with this piece as well, that it has the same like deep contrast, the Arachna artwork. As I mentioned it before, I really like it for many reasons, but one of them is just this deep, beautiful contrast of it. And it's like, you look at it, it's like a comic book, and that was the first shot on the Arachna, and this is like a different one. It's like the same. And Gilbert being much lighter, the way I usually paint him in like light-filled areas, it's so funny to see him right here taking directions from Arachna. That's hilarious. And the funniest part is that Arachna doesn't have hands, like it's some kind of an invisible phantom, so Gilbert can't figure out where they're pointing at. And that's hilarious. And here we have the very first SCP that I painted, I think. I may be wrong, maybe the Baba Yaga was the first one I painted, but this one was really controversial. I've had so many comments under that video for many years after about, this is not the design it's supposed to have. So here's Baba Yaga SCP, and yeah, actually this wasn't the very first SCP I painted, apparently. The very first was Baba Yaga, this one was the second one. But yeah, so many comments were like, this is not what it looks like. Well, I'm following the description of the article. I'm following the text, not some random picture that was stolen from another artist, actually. So I was just painting it the way it's, like it doesn't break any rules described in the article. That's the fun of doing it. Why would I just copy the picture that was attached to the article, you know? Just reimagining the design, not necessarily following some photograph that was, again, having a lot of issues with the copyright and everything. So yeah, it was kind of fun to make. Was a bit annoying to have all of those comments. Although, I'm not gonna lie, I have to admit, it kind of makes sense, since SCP overall is the product of community, and if community already decided on what SCP looks like, why go against it? Like, there's no point in that. Like, yeah, there's the original article, but SCP is more than just one article. It's about what people as a community decide on what it looks like, so my position is also kind of questionable. Although, again, in the video title, I wrote alternative design. So, oh my god, the hamster, or who was it? Yeah, I made this illustration like a mascot for a friend's website. Where is this guy? Oh, there he is. I'm pretty sure this is the one. And it has completely different colors in here, but it makes sense. There was a thing that it was all created in separate layers with like color of the surface being a separate layer, reflections being separate, and all the light sources being separate. And specifically, I could change the whole color of the orange outfit to be blue or any color, and it would be like perfectly rendered correctly with the reflections remaining of a proper color and everything. So that was a fun little thing I did back then. And yeah, the blue color was just one of the versions, so that's what I think it is. I don't know why there's so many hearts around it, but I'm not against it. The yellow terror, still hanging out right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is, if any of you guys don't know what's going on in this huge array of office paper, I printed out my yellow terror egg on 24 sheets of paper. Yeah, this one was like the very first artwork that appeared in this composition in the video process. I wonder if it's just a random thing, but I can't let go of the idea that these 4 legs, they did happen somewhere, and I don't think I can recall it right now. Oh, maybe this guy, that's where that happened. I mean, it's just 4 mechanical legs. It's just this one thing. Also, while a lot of things are really questionable about this piece, the design and overall the feel of this robot is really cool, actually, don't you think? Like something that maybe would be kind of fun to do a remake of. I feel like these legs are probably something else though. Oh, there was another one, but also like pretty far. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a freeform fan art. Brain juice. Here we have some kind of borrowed goofball. Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell fan art. This one is actually really interesting. It's like, it's repeating all the elements, but it's really different. And it's kind of fun to see it how it's completely different. Like this one piece, I don't think I have it anywhere in the final artwork gallery in here because I actually never finished it. It was just a bunch of experiments with layers and everything, but I may continue it at some point, I'm not sure, but I feel like I would like restart it with just better shape design, because in there it kind of went out of control, I feel, so it makes sense to kind of restart it. Like doing the same angle and everything, but really with a bit of a different approach. So this guy is one of the two. The first thing I thought of was actually one of the overpaints with waxy character. I don't know, I don't store all the overpaints since there's so many of them now. They're somewhere in the episodes folders. But yeah, there was one overpaint where there was a female character that was like burning like a candle, like this guy. This is based on that overpaint actually. Yeah, and this is maybe one of the Let's Paints. Apparently a lot of people get back to it because I talked a lot about interesting material stuff in that episode or something. But yeah, here it is. Melting away something, I don't remember the title of it actually. But yeah, it was kind of funny, although I feel like this picture could really benefit from like really thumbnailing the composition. Again, thinking on shape design and really importantly, really looking up some kind of references for construction sites or some kind of factory or whatever it would be, you know, because this looks like playground for kids that is themed as a factory, but it all looks really weird and the geometry like makes no sense. This was supposed to be a reflection on the floor. It really doesn't even feel like one. But overall, there's quite a lot of some elements in here that are worth, you know, returning to maybe. Honestly, I feel like there was even another piece that had something to do with these particular holes. I can't remember what it was though. Anyway, and both of them are being attacked by this tiger shark spaceman thing? I don't remember the title of it, but I was trying to start a different series of not Let's Paint, but Let's Draw. That's why it's called LD instead of LP. And yeah, it was like this drawing. And this is literally, obviously, that same character here. Man, he looks really retro wave badass. Okay, the angry flower for one of the music albums by Ken Folk, which was actually never used. In the end, the actual cover for this album was with the 3D golden head, because that album was either postponed or we were working on the cover really early at first. Yeah, this was the final cover, which is, I think, a way better thing than that flower, but the flower was hilarious, I'm not gonna deny that. Also, I really appreciate the connection between a whole bunch of different characters in here, really cool. The anime girl, one of my several attempts at drawing some kind of anime. This one specifically, right? Yeah, such a weird face. Like, I can see now how the eyes area is kind of really weird. At least, like, there's a lot of problems with the very spherical hair, also kind of weird. The golden fishy from Outlandish Curiosity, looking like a creepy alien in here though. Boro Kawaii Potato manifestation right here. Another child of Black Widow. This is just some ridiculous thing going on. Don't feed my ego like that, are you kidding? I really like the shapes and like the posture and the expression on this Boro here. Ah yes, the Pestilence Doctor. Yet another SCP, the Plague Doctor. By the way, I skipped on this blue eye. I have no idea what that is. What could it possibly be? Yeah, I have no clue. The Judge Yourself Away guy, one of the long-playing artworks on the channel, that almost turned out really well, but some things about it are kinda bad. Actually, I think like the brushwork is the worst part in here. It's like really messy. It has the good blending of details and whatever, all that stuff, but it's just like messy, very spotty. Until very recently I was approaching rendering like if I'm a 3D rendering program, specifically V-Ray. V-Ray was creating this granulated like blobby look and then making those blobs smaller and smaller. And I was like really inspired by that idea that you don't think about shapes at first, just thinking through the lighting and colors and contrast and stuff like that, and then think through the shapes later. But in practice, you end up having a hard time actually finding those clean shapes later, since you have so much mess already going on. So yeah, that's like one problem I used to have. I hope I don't have to deal with that anymore. The Visitor, very hilariously wearing the red ribbon with the facade from the Outlandish Curiosity again. That's a hilarious mashup. Yeah, I recently looked closer. It's funny how we actually don't see the neck area, so maybe he's actually wearing that red ribbon. We don't know. Yeah, I recently looked into this picture back when I was recently talking about how I don't really like the shape, like something not exactly fortunate or aesthetic about the way I showed the character in here. But if we zoom in and look closer at some elements, the shape design in here is actually really cool and elaborate. In many areas it's like really good. And again, this was one of those pieces where this shape design just naturally for some reason happened. I wasn't going for it intentionally. It's just the combination of the mood, the way I did the sketch before, and just the kind of brushes I worked with in Procreate. This was, I think, the only big piece I made in actual Procreate on iPad. Yeah, the red cat next to the yellow terror. It's just a cat, right? I don't remember ever painting cats. Or dogs. Well, except for this cat. From like one of the first episodes on this channel. I should paint more cats. This channel would be much bigger if I would paint more cats. The Invisible Doctor. That was one of those pieces that were just for the sake of tutorials, like about shading and values. I think that's what it was about. So it's probably not even in here because it wasn't a Let's Paint. But yeah, it was kind of funny to see it in here because like at first like, who the hell is this character? Like such a specific one, almost looking like Inspector Gadget, I guess. But yeah, this is definitely an Invisible Doctor. This is me if I would actually have a diet and would move around. Fitness goals. And yeah, I'm holding the bug from Outlandish Curiosity again. So yeah, to the right, we have the possessed banana, which is looking way more brutal in my version because it actually, as a base, it was made from a ZBrush sculpt and painted on top in a bunch of layers. And back then I had a lot of this really dark look, like really everything looked very metallic. There was a lot of issues with the way I approached materials back then when I was segregating absolutely everything in separate layers, like different lights and colors and reflections and everything. But yeah, for this banana, I think it kind of worked. Looks like a monster from Doom 3. And yeah, possessed basketball right here. Not too possessed, kind of, we can talk it out with this guy, I think. I don't know what this is about. This is just an astronaut in space. I don't remember, at least like on the channel, I don't think I ever made an astronaut. I may be wrong, of course. One time I visualized astronauts was actually in 3D way before I started the channel. And yeah, that was a completely different story. I don't think this is the reference to that, but who knows. And yeah, Jeremy finally ate the rats apparently. Not without the help of another Black Widow child right here. I think this is the only piece in here from everything that seems like an actual just manipulation of my actual artwork. Like this is my brushwork and a portion of my canvas. I think literally everything else was painted from scratch. And finally we have another version of me wearing my super fashionable Echo cap and a toad from Outlandish Curiosity. The only thing is the final concept had a little spot of cyan color on the back, but this was one of the versions on the channel, not gonna deny that. Alright, did I go through everything? I think I did. So yeah, this is a weird video, but this is unprecedented content to work with. Thank you guys so much for this epic piece. I don't know, I feel like I should do something about it. maybe I can make some kind of merch with it, but I don't know. Just selling it as a print with like no extra cost or something. But this is definitely a very special thing. Like, I have my 100,000 subscribers silver play button on the wall. I feel like this has much more value and should take its place or something, because yeah, this is just insane. Thank you guys so much. This is a really cool thing that you guys did. You know, I just sit here alone and make these videos week after week without like grasping the overall picture. And I'm not just talking about, you know, the history of artwork or episodes. It's about like, there are so many people that are inspired by it and actually feel like a part of this, some kind of invisible entity of the community. Sometimes, like, for me, like, you know, I'm like in the center of it or something. I'm like really close to it. Sometimes I like don't see it or something. Like, I forget about its existence or something. And this is like such a strong reminder of the fact that it's very much real and very strong too. So yeah, thank you guys so much. This is a very unique gift that I couldn't even think of. I didn't know I needed it, but yeah, this is just huge. So thank you so much. And yeah, I still think I didn't find the artwork that this one is about. I remember this decomposing, falling apart jaw. Where the hell was it? One of the pieces, I guess another one of the like just tutorial episodes or something. Yeah, it was like how to paint translucency or something like that, right? There it is, that's the one. Finally, I found it. I just couldn't let it go. I knew that I specifically remember, again, one of those situations when you see the exact resemblance, like even like really close shapes and colors and brushwork, and like certain elements, how it's like having these layered holes, and in here it's like also happening like that. Like, I knew I've seen it somewhere. Thank you guys again, this is incredible. Tell me if I got something wrong, especially the very first one. I can't put my finger on where this is from. If it's from anywhere anyway. And like other stuff like this big creature, what is it? Or the blue eye, or the astronaut, kinda. And maybe some other stuff that I maybe misinterpreted. So yeah, tell me guys what you think about all of this. And yeah, the link to the Discord is in the description. And I love you all, and thank you guys. And I'll of course see you in the next video. Bye! And yeah, this apple spider though, what's up with that? Like, no clue. And it feels really specific to be random. Quite a mystery.